6 feet inside, and Porzingis throws it down, but he's hurt. Porzingis grabbing his left knee, and he's in some severe pain. That's a scary sight for Porzingis and the Knicks fans as the organization holds their breath.
Call it the Manhattan Island of misfit toys. There are several players on this roster trying to find a home in New York after not working out for whatever reason elsewhere. Mario Hezonja, Noah Vonleh, for instance, are both recent top 10 picks, now on one-year deals with the Knicks. And their second-round pick, the very long, very active Mitchell Robinson, remember, arrives having not played college ball at all last season. This time last year, the Knicks were getting a handle on what Frank Ntilikina had to offer as a professional point guard. The offense is a work in progress, and he's got plenty of competition at that position, with both Trey Burke and Emmanuel Mudiay joining the team since Ntilikina was drafted. How do you see Coach Fizz working out this point guard trio he's got?
You know, I could see a scenario where Ntilikina is not the point guard. Now, he allegedly grew an inch and a half, so he's almost
That's even worse.
now.
He's a 6'8".
Yeah, so I could see him playing some small forward, and I could see scenarios where they have 2 or 3 of those guys out there on the floor. But a lot of that's going to come out in training camp in terms of Fizz getting a feel for who does what well, and then we got to go back to their system. What it's going to be the identity. They were not a good three-point shooting team a year ago. Middle of the pack in terms of pace. Defensively, they had struggles as well. So, I mean, those are areas as a coaching staff you're going to say, look, we've got to improve across the board there. Who gives us the best chance with this roster to improve there? Because we want to establish a culture and an accountability of how we're going to play every night. Which guys gives us the best chance to play that way while we develop, you know, Knox and Robinson and guys like that. And, you know, in a lot of ways, this is it's advantageous because those guys you talked about with Burke and Mudiay, you know, they're not, locked into them long term.
Right.
If it works, it works. They're going to have a ton of cap space a year from now. They're going to be players in the free agent market. Their biggest concern is we want to establish our culture of how we play, and we want to develop our young guys. We want Kevin Knox and Robinson, in particular with Porzingis, to be attractive to an A-list free agent when we go to bat next summer.
And Ntilikina at this point is going to be on the floor primarily for his defense, not necessarily what he does offensively as a point guard or at some other position. So maybe Fizz is just kind of feeling his way through this and seeing what fits.
Well, yeah, you know this. What's the point guard? The extension of the coach, you know, on the floor. So Fizz first year, I mean, it's going to be a battle in training camp to who gets that starting position. You know, the extension of the coach is a vocal leader who can run the offense, knows the system the quickest, and trusts in the teammates who's playing around them, the Porzingises, the Knox, the Robinsons, the Cantors, the younger guys too. So who's going to be that guy that the team trusts and builds that trust? So it's going to be interesting to see who's going to start at the point. I like Mudiay, but I also like Trey Burke, what he did last year. And let's see, maybe we'll have a combination of those guys on the court at the same time. But that's not for us to decide. That's for Fizdale. Yeah.
You mentioned identity a moment ago. Hard to say at this moment exactly what that identity is without Porzingis on the floor. So what's your best guess in terms of what Fizdale is going to want to do?
I think, and because those 3 guards are so different, right? You know, obviously, Ntilikina is the defender. Trey Burke's the better scorer. I think Mudiay gives them the best pace to play with. They all have their weaknesses as well. So I think you're going to see a group that really tries to play through their wings a lot. And I think the guy, Mario Hezonja, coming over, this is going to be an opportunity for him at that small forward position to really have an impact, along with Kevin Knox. I think those 2 guys, from an offensive standpoint, have a chance to have a big impact and grow this year. Again, they want to have success with wins, but they want to get what they can out of those guys in terms of growth. With Ntilikina, he, you know, struggles from an offensive standpoint. I don't know that he showed enough this past summer to improve to where I feel confident that that's going to be a strength. But his defensive versatility, unquestioned. So I think if I'm Fizz, I want to establish a defensive culture. I think he's got to be a focal point of that. And you drafted him in the top 10. So he's yours. And he's going to be there a couple more years. So I think he's the guy they want to see grow of the 3, that because he does give them the most flexibility. Now, if he improves offensively, then they got a chance, I think, to have some special pieces. But if not, man, they're going to find themselves in this boat again a year from now.
And doesn't that just make sense for Coach Fizz anyway? This could be a transitional season for the Knicks to establish the defensive end first and then see what you've got in terms of the skill players?
Well, the good news for Fizz is it's always a transitional season for the Knicks, so he can rest assured. He can rest assured on that one. But you want to establish a culture, and if it's going to be on the defensive end, to GA's point, I mean, you want to have to probably find your point guard and then play through your wings, and especially if Porzingis is not around. That's trouble. You know, if you can't establish that early with Porzingis and he has to come on late, now you have to start all over and rebuild. So depending on the timeline when Porzingis comes back, who's the point guard, and then you kind of start filling out other areas on the court of who's starting, who's coming off the bench. Once the roles set in, I think they'd be in that much better shape.
It's a fair point. There's not a lot of long-term with the Knicks.
This is the start.
Clyde Frazier.
This is the start of the long term.
Clyde's been there a long time.
Yeah, Clyde has been there a real long time.
All right, much more on the way. Coming up, Enes Kanter embraces the pain. And the starters assess the Knicks as a potential playoff team. All next. So many NBA players are involved in camps in one form or another over the course of the summer. And over again, we see the video of the NBA player abusing the kid, right? He blocks his shot, he fakes him out and dunks on him. Well, this is a man bites dog situation because the kid beat Kanter in the shooting contest. Wish we had the kid's name. Poor Enes.
I think Enes remembers his name.
He should. And look, the kid gets all the props. He's getting mobbed.
They don't care. It's his camp anymore. Whose camp is this? Oh, it's his.
Enes is very active on social media, as you may know. It's possible sometimes to share too much. He was in, quote, puke mode as Knicks camp began. Guess you got to embrace it. Should Knicks fans be in the mood for playoffs come springtime? To the starters for answers.
Trey Kirby and Tas Melas of the starters here for your next point on the New York Knicks. And we're just going to get down to the nitty-gritty here, Trey. True or false, the Knicks will finally make the playoffs?
Oh, hard false, Taz. A hard false here. Their best player, Kristaps Porzingis, is still recovering from a knee injury. There seems to be no timetable for his return. There have been hints at a February return, and that's a long time from now. It behooves the Knicks to take it really slow with Kristaps because he is their franchise player. Not to mention, they actually have their pick coming up in this year's draft. If they're bad, they're going to get another high selection. So that's why I don't think the Knicks are going to be making the playoffs. But it doesn't matter because up until Kristaps comes back, this is the New York Knicks. All that matters is seeing if Kevin Knox is going to be a real player. He was great at Summer League. We'll see how he holds up playing against real competition.
We're in midseason form here, using the word behooves. It's like we're in February here on the starters. I agree. It's entirely false. Even though Kevin Knox, I'm sure, will be great for them, I think they finally understand the value of a draft pick.
Right.
And they're not trading away their draft picks, and I think it behooves them to sit out Kristaps Porzingis for as long as possible because they have a good pick coming up here in 2019. Just don't do it. Just don't go after the playoff spot. In 2019, you've got tons of money. There are tons of free agents available. Just wait it out. It doesn't really make a lot of sense.
This is the Knicks we're talking about here, though,
Yeah.
Tassie. They have said they're not going to do it, but it is the Knicks. We'll see.
I think they've learned that what they've been doing hasn't been working.
Sure.
I just saw this stat, and I have to share it. Over the past 18 years, they've won one playoff series. The Knicks.
Wow.
That's a shocking number.
I don't know. Maybe trade everybody. This is the year. Go back to the playoffs. Win a series.
Hey, the East is wide open,
Why
right?
not?
All right, that is it for us. More on the New York Knicks coming up. And if you want more of the starters, check us out weeknights, 6 o'clock Eastern, throughout the entire NBA season on NBA TV.
Is trade away assets to get a guy that we could go get on our own later.
Steve Mills at a town hall saying the Knicks are playing the long game, whether they end a playoff drought
Man,
or
they've
not.
been playing a long game for a long time.
A long time. It's a long game.
I like
Very
it.
long
I like
game.
it.
Hashtag rotten apples.
It's like cricket in India, right? The matches can last a week or two. It's a
that is
long
true.
game.
That is a good point.
They're set up to make plays for one of the A-list free agents available next summer with cap room ahead. Do you buy this? Are they going to be patient? The media, the fans, everybody's going to be, there are limits to the patience in New York.
Yes, and I would say this. First and foremost, they've had cap space before, but they have yet to sign an A-list free agent.
Right.
So, you can preach that, and that works in that room right now. But ultimately, you better develop some young talent like the Lakers did. They showed a game plan to LeBron, and they had young players that he felt had a chance to be something. That's what's got to happen for the Knicks this year. In order to really participate in free agency, you've got to have guys, a core foundation that those other guys want to come play with.
Right.
Otherwise, you're going to end up paying guys like Tim Hardaway Jr. a lot of money and players like that. But you're not going to get that guy that you're going to look for in free agency.
You can't just say, hey, look, we're New York.
No.
Come on.
No,
we're New York and we have money. Come play here.
You can't do that because going to New York, if you do take a lot of money, ask Joakim Noah, it comes with a lot of stress. It comes with a lot of stress in New York. And I don't think they're just in a position right now to attract free agents at this particular moment. Like GA said, you have to show promise. If I'm a top unrestricted free agent looking at teams, I want to have something that's attractive. I don't want all the pressure on me. I need somebody there with me. I know it's promising that we have a chance to honestly win. I don't want to wake up every morning on page 6 and read about me in a negative manner. So you not only have to be prepared to take that as a free agent, but you have to have something promising in New York.
All right, the Knicks won 29 games last season. We're setting their over-under mark at 28 right now. Do they win more or fewer than 28 games?
Fewer. I mean, starting with Porzingis not active and waiting on this timetable if he even returns this season. So it's going to be a lot less.
I'm going to say over. They're going to get 29.
29?
I think they win 29.
So this is the part where we just say everything opposite of each other?
No, they're not going over by much.
Well, your under could be 27, so.
Yeah, that's true.
You said by not
I
that
wanted
much.
to qualify
All right,
mine.
okay.
I ain't want some.
All right, so-
I'm saying 29.
In either case, more patience required
Yeah.
in the Big Apple. I will.